Good afternoon, everyone. Kevin Grimion, Application Specialist here at Holz Her.
And Dan Hirschberger, Holz Her Product Manager. Glad to have each one of you with us again for another educational and informative session. And today what we want to talk about is the multi-tool from Holz Her. This is a really unique system that we have on our edgebanders, on several models of our edgebanders. We call it the multi-tool. And what it is, it's a profile cutter head that has 4 different cutting profiles on the same tool and automatically changes them. And we want to explain how that works. We want to show you how that works. And really, what's really important is to explain to you what the right application is for the multi-tool, because it doesn't fit everybody. Now, it'll do edge banding for all different type profiles, but there's certain customers with certain production requirements that the multi-tool is really ideally suited for. So before we go any further, Kevin, maybe you can explain, where does the multi-tool fit in the marketplace, and what type of customers are we recommending the multi-tool system to?
Well, the application for this is where someone wants to do an extreme changeover repetitively throughout the day. So in this case, they're going to do maybe a 3mm edge, 0.5 millimeter edge, 1 millimeter edge, but they want the true radiusing for the 1mm and 3mm, but they also want the 10-degree bevel on this part. And so they're going to change processes extremely throughout the day.
Right, so they're not, unlike many of our customers that set up and just do one thing all day long. The customer that's best suited for this multi-tool is someone who's changing constantly throughout the day. 3mm, bevel, flush, all of those different things, and they need to do it quick, and they need to do it right on the fly without wasting a lot of time, a lot of downtime. So that's where this multi-tool system is ideally suited for.
Because a traditional machine will put on, let's say, a 2mm tool package or a 3mm tool package, and when we do the smaller bandings, we just sacrifice a little bit of time not changing cutter heads out and just using a partial radius or such. But if we want a true 100% radius, a true application, we need to take the cutter head out and put a different cutter head in. So that time of changing cutter heads is what this is around.
Great. So this multi-tool is on 3 stations. 3 that come right in a row on the edge bander. They come on the first flush trimming station. The corner rounding station, and the scraping unit.
And the scraper.
Right, so when you get the multi-tool package, if you want to call it that, you get those 3 stations all have the multi-tool.
That's correct.
The cutter head and the multi-tool system. Because we have programmable cutter heads on virtually almost every machine we have.
Sure.
But what we don't have is the ability to change 4 different profiles on the flush trim, 4 profiles on the scraping unit, and 4 profiles on the corner rounding unit, all without changing tooling, all in the same cutter head. And that's where the multi-tool really has the benefit and the advantage to it. So we'll take real quick here, I can just kind of show you these different cutter heads. This is the flush trim, and you can just see the knife that we're using, that there's 4 different profiles on the knife. And these knives come with different combinations of profiles.
That's right.
Sometimes 2 3mm or 2 2mm.
That's right. And there's actually a bonus on this knife, is you also get an 8mm flush. So if you do want to do some wood and do like a super finish after the flush trimmers, we can definitely do that as well.
So that's all in there. So whatever combination of profiles you use, we probably have a knife that will fit that, and that would be the knife that would come with the machine. So you got 4 different profiles, and if possible, like Kevin said, you get the bonus if you need it as well for the 5th. So this is the flush trim cutter head, and literally with a servo motor, we just position this back and forth in relation to the banding to use the profile that we're that we want to cut with. This is the corner rounding cutter head, and this is what is truly unique. If you can see, hopefully, the different cutter heads here on the tool, and we have a little video we'll show you in just a second that shows us in even greater detail. But these cutter heads right here literally rotate on the machine so that whatever profile you need is in the cutting position. And we'll see, it's kind of hard to explain holding it in my hand here, but we've got a nice video that we'll see in just a second. So that's for the corner rounding station, because typically what we've done in the past, and we still do today, a lot of machines, we cheat a little bit. We may cut a 2mm radius here, but we have a 3mm tool here, so we don't use the full 3.
But it's compromise.
It's kind of, it works, but it's not perfect. So here we can have 2mm on the flush trim, 2mm on the corner rounding, and 2mm on the scraper. Then we truly get the best finish. And then of course here is the scraper. And don't be deceived, it looks like a spinning cutter head, but all it does, it just rotates to use whatever part of the knife we need. Each one of these different cutter heads that you see here, each one of these different knives is a different profile.
Right.
So it rotates, it indexes, it locks in place, and then we're doing our scraping with just that knife right there, top and bottom. So that's the multi-tool system. We're going to show you a little video here. We're going to walk over to the machine and see it in action. And we offer this multi-tool on several different models of edge banders. So it's not just on our big one that we've got here behind us today, this 1598. Some of our smaller ones are 1329 series.
Right.
And some of the other machines that we have this same system. So if you have a need for a lot of different profiles within an 8-hour or 10-hour shift,
Right.
this is ideal for you.
Yeah, if you want the true application and the true radiusing or cut.
Right. Let's take a minute, Kevin, and let's look at this
Yeah.
video. It really shows in better detail than we can do just holding these cutter heads in our
Yeah, the
hands.
first is a small clip showing the top and bottom trimmer here, because it sits at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to cue this video up here, and we're going to see this up here. So we see the station, and so simply the servo axis is going to drive it in,
And so you can see there.
put into position.
Yep.
Once the unit is in full position, at that moment, the cutter head will move up and down
Right.
and put the right index or the right profile for the cut.
Great. Yeah, so the motor is mounted at a 45-degree
It's at
angle.
a 45-degree
Right.
angle.
And so then on that 45-degree angle, the cutter head or the motor and the cutter head just move up and down to get the correct part of the knife
Right.
on the banding that we want to trim with at
The
that point.
profile that you want.
Yep. Good. So it's very simple, very quick.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
All right.
So the next one again is the corner rounder.
All right, so this is the
All right.
cutter head that we're using on the cutter head, on the corner rounding,
Right.
and you'll see that these little cutter heads here actually spin and rotate, and we can see it on the video.
So
really
this is a
clearly.
good view of the corner rounder here. It's from the inside of this frame,
Right. You
and then
can
we
see
can
right
see
there.
now how we're manually turning the
Right.
tool by hand. So you can see how it rotates the tool cutters and puts
Right.
the profile we want in the outer position.
Right, to cut
Then the
with.
whole cutter head will spin.
Right, yep. So we rotate it, get the correct portion of the blade in position to cut, then
right.
the entire cutter head spins like normal on the
Yes.
motor, and it does its trimming with the corner rounding station. So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you can see that really good.
And
Great.
the last one is our scraper station. So we can see the station here. Again, heavy mount in the machine. And now we have a really good view
Yeah,
of
there
the
it is.
cutter actually spinning. Once it indexes the right blade into position, it's set and we're ready to trim.
Great. Yeah, so it's real simple. You see the cutter head rotates, locks in place, and just stays there.
Yep.
And does the scraping as the panel comes by.
That's right.
Nice,
That's right.
nice. So that was easy. The video makes it very clear to see. I think now what we're going to do, we want to walk over in front of the machine.
Yeah.
And do it real time. Let's
Sure.
let the units make the changes. Let's see what it looks like. So
Sure.
if everybody will just kind of walk over here with us, and we'll start here at the controller, Kevin, and show us what you're going to do on the controller to make these changes.
So the first unit here is the top and bottom trimmer. We have them pre-programmed of what each one is and where the set points are. We give you the geometry from when we put in the cutter head at the right angle and the right geometry for that. For each cutter head we have a graphic. And at that point, the top or bottom trimmer, we can just select which one we want. When we press start, it'll go ahead and move the cutter into position.
So let's come back here with the camera, and Kevin, you stay right there. Hopefully you can get a good view of this. We're going to walk down the machine here to the second top and bottom flush trimming. Hopefully we can get a good view right there. You can see the cutter
You can
head.
see the cutter head moving into position right there.
Not yet. We're not ready. We don't have the camera in the right place yet. Okay. So now hopefully we can adjust the cutter head and you can see that.
So it'll move in and out to the right position. So very much the same as the corner round.
Okay, so now that's the flush trim station. Now we're going to move to the corner rounding, and this is the one tool that has the cutter heads that actually rotate. So if you watch while this goes to make the adjustment to turn the knives and put them in the right position for cutting. So if you see here, see it comes up and it engages with the spindle on the motor on the back. It rotates it, and then at the same time up here you'll see the cutter head. See how it turns Okay, now we just change the position of the knife to a different cutting position, and then the motor will engage and go back in. We're making several changes here so you can see it real good. All right, so there's actually 4 different cutting positions on that knife, and then once it gets to the right position, then it engages up like it would be in position to cut, and this is the corner rounding station. All right, so that's the second station in the multi-tool package, and then here's the final station in the multi-tool, and this is the scraping unit. So we got to get up here. Hopefully we can get the camera. There it is. Okay. So again, that cutter head has 4 different cutting positions on it. It'll rotate to put the radius or the profile that we need into a position and then lock. And then once it's in position, it stays there. And then as the panel comes through, it just scrapes the edge just like any other scraping unit does. But the nice thing is now that on the flush trim, the corner rounding, and the scraping unit, whatever profile we cut, whether it was 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, a 10-degree bevel, whatever it might have been, each station now has that exact same tooling on it. And so now we get a very precise trim, a really precise cut on our part as it comes through the machine. So it's real simple, easy to change. You see how quickly it makes those changes in just seconds.
That's right.
It's all from the controller. So when we're running the bander, it's real easy, as Kevin maybe can explain. Now we just load a program. We're not lifting the hood. We're not back here making any changes.
Don't have to take the cutter heads in and out. That's the time we're saving.
Yeah. One other thing while we're back here, I think a lot of people that are familiar with edgebanders will notice that the servo motors that we use on these cutter heads look a little bit different, a little different shape, different color. Maybe you could explain what's unique about these servo motors that we're using that are making the adjustments.
Yeah, these are high-speed stepper motors, so very precise, very accurate, and again, high speed. So you can see when we did the corner rounder, especially that one is accelerated,
quick,
and it really moves fast to get in position.
Very accurate, very precise,
very accurate,
which we need, and then quick. Because when we go from one profile to the next, we don't want to waste a lot of time. We don't want a lot of downtime waiting for the machine to make the changes and we can run the next part.
We're also changing the units between parts. As the parts are moving, we're able to change the unit and get it ready for a different process as the parts are coming through without a break.
Yeah, we have a system on our machines called FAST. And it's an acronym. But what that does, that allows us to change settings between parts.
That's right.
So if they didn't move quickly, if the servo motors weren't so quick and so precise, we wouldn't be able to change them in between parts. There'd be no benefit or advantage to that.
Wouldn't have that option.
Right. So that's why we have the FAST system combined with the multi-tool.
Yep.
Quick changeovers, very precise, very accurate, and you get a lot of flexibility.
Yep.
A lot of different options with the machine. So real quick, that was our multi-tool package that we offer on several models of edge banding. So if you make a lot of changes throughout any work shift, different profiles, different bevels, different radiuses, whatever it might be, this is something you might want to consider. If this isn't for you, we still have servo adjustments in all these units. It just doesn't give you the versatility and the flexibility.
Yep.
Great. We appreciate you watching. If you have questions, as always, you can put them in the comments section below, and we thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon.